I'm Davy, and I'm awesome! Just like this. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Wrestling, where I review wrestling-related things, all from the perspective of a fan, not an insider. So this week, we had Impact Wrestling's Rebellion pay-per-view 2022. And, you know what? It was actually pretty good. Let's get into it. First match was a triple threat. Jay White versus Steve Maclin versus Chris Sabin. As we know, Steve Maclin and Jay White feuding with Chris Sabin, and I guess neither wanted to wait for their match. Whatever. It was a good match. Decent starter. Had a good ending. Sabin got the cradle shock onto Jay White, and before he could capitalize, Maclin rolled him up and pinned him, getting the win. However, that just wasn't really that into this match. Even though it had Jay White in it, who's currently one of my favorites, and had Chris Sabin, who I've loved for a long time, I guess just the build-up wasn't really right. Felt it would have been better to either have Steve Maclin versus Chris Sabin or Jay White versus Chris Sabin all by themselves. But it was still a good match and still earned its 3 out of 5. Yeah! The second match, the Champ Challenge. Taya Valkyrie challenged Deonna Purrazzo for her AAA Reina de Reinas championship. This match was great. I mean, heck, it's Taya Valkyrie, it's Deonna Purrazzo. As we've seen before, these two have great matches together. Then again, I've said this many times, Deonna Purrazzo can have a great match with anyone. And Taya Valkyrie, of course, she can have a great match with just about anybody herself. Not to mention, it was nice to see Taya Valkyrie as her old self, getting in there, mixing it up the way she used to, before she was ridiculously underutilized in WWE as Frankie Monet. Seriously, wasn't really given a chance to shine at all. And it ended with Taya Valkyrie getting the road to Valhalla on Deonna Purrazzo, getting the pin, and once again becoming the Reina de Reinas champion. As much as I like Deonna Purrazzo and like to see her win, I think it was time for her to drop the whole champ thing. I kind of feel like she needs to stick to one league. Either go back after the Knockouts Championship, or maybe move on to a better company. But either way, currently, Deonna Purrazzo is still the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and we're still waiting for her match with Mercedes Martinez to unify the Ring of Honor Women's and Interim Women's Championship. So, we'll see how that goes in the future. But for now, this match between her and Taya Valkyrie easily got a 4 out of 5. Yeah! Third match for the X Division Championship. Former champion Ace Austin versus Speedball Mike Bailey versus current champion Trey Miguel. And it was good. It was fast-paced. It's X Division. It's a triple threat. So, it's what we expected. I just really wasn't that into it because I'm not a huge fan of 2 out of the 3 competitors. Sorry, but Trey Miguel, not that impressed by. He does nice flips and stuff like that, but I don't know. He just kind of seems like that all steak and no sizzle guy. Speedball Mike Bailey, I know he's got a lot of buzz, but again, I haven't really seen anything to impress me by him. Ace Austin, on the other hand, been very impressed by him for a long time. So I will say, that helped the match that the one I'm actually kind of a fan of, Ace Austin, was able to pick up the win with his The Fold finisher, becoming now a 3-time X Division champion. So like I said, all in all, it was good. Can't complain about it. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Yeah! Fourth match, Jonah versus Tomohiro Ishii. Good match. Brutal as expected. It's always brutal if Ishii's involved. And it was also pretty cool that Tomohiro Ishii was able to lift that big guy Jonah up for his brainbuster and get the win. Where again, I don't feel like this had enough build-up or anything. I mean, maybe it did over in New Japan. I don't know. I don't really watch New Japan regularly. I just watch the occasional match on the YouTubes. But I would easily give this one another 3 out of 5. Yeah! By the way, am I the only one who has the dream match fantasy of Pete Dunne versus Tomohiro Ishii? The fifth match was the 8-team Elimination Gauntlet for the Impact Tag Team Championships. Now, like I said, Gauntlet style, so the rules as follows was that it would start with 2 teams, and then when one was eliminated, the next one would come out. The last team to come out would be the Tag Team Champions, and if you could withstand all the way till then, you got your shot at the Tag Team titles. So a kind of brutal situation, especially if you're one of the first 2 teams in. But led for entertainment, especially because we only knew about half of the teams that were going to be in this gauntlet. So starting off, the first 2 teams consisted of the major players, Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, versus Jordan Grace and W. Morrissey. You heard that right, but then again, it's not that shocking. Jordan Grace loves to go out there and challenge the dudes. And of course, we got the whole Jordan Grace feuding with Matt Cardona over the Digital Media Championship, so it was mostly back and forth between the 2 of them. And it didn't take long for Matt Cardona to roll Jordan Grace up and get the pin. However, after the match, Grayson did not take this gracefully. That pun was intended. Went on the offensive against the major players, and it ended with W. Morrissey powerbombing Chelsea Green through a table. So when the next team came out, which would be the Good Brothers, because of the beating that the major players had just taken, not to mention Matt Cardona being more concerned with his wife and what just happened to her, Cardona was quickly given a magic killer and major players were eliminated. So then the fourth team to come out and now take on the Good Brothers was the team of Johnny Swinger and Ziggy Dice, which thankfully were quickly eliminated by the Good Brothers. So then the fifth entrance, the team of Rich Swann and Willie Mack. This one had some really good back and forth for a while. Two real teams going at it, but eventually Mack got put into the Magic Killer and they were eliminated. The sixth entrants were Honor No More's Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. Although at first, even though they were announced, Vincent and Kenny King came out, which was confusing people. Like, did they just decide at the last minute that these two were going to go after the titles? No, it turned out to be a ruse so that Matt Taven could sneak up behind the Good Brothers and get the pin, eliminating the Good Brothers. However, for good measure, the Good Brothers hit Taven with a magic killer on the outside. So that when the seventh and final team before the tag champs came out, Rhino and Heath, there was a little bit of back and forth between them and Honor No More, but not much before Rhino hit Taven with the gore and eliminated Honor No More. So now it came down to the final two would be Heath and Rhino versus Violent by Design for the tag team championships. And again, some more decent back and forth. They did that last one right, because obviously Heath and Rhino got the rivalry going on with Violent by Design. So it was actually a decent little tag team match they had, until Eric Young was able to hit Heath with his pile driver and pin him and eliminate him. Thus, Violent by Design retains the titles. Now, I will say, in this elimination, obviously, they only had so much time, so most of them were quick. The few that weren't were decent tag matches, but when you get that many decent tag matches crammed into one, it makes it to where you can't give it less than a 5 out of 5. Yeah! Sixth match for the Impact Knockouts Championship. Rosemary challenged champion Tasha Steele, who came out channeling Scar from The Lion King, because of the way she overthrew Mickey James or something like that. I don't know if you know this, Tasha, but Scar died at the end. However, despite the weird face paint, this match was really good. Havoc got into it with Tasha Steele soon into the match, so she was ordered away from ringside, which of course left Savannah Evans there, who of course got involved a couple times until she got some green mist in her face by Rosemary. Only problem is the end of it was a little bit lackluster. Tasha Steele was able to get a cradle suplex onto Rosemary, but a very weak-looking one, but enough to get the pin and retain her title. However, despite the little lackluster ending, the rest of the match was so good, can't give this one less than a 4 out of 5. Yeah! And then the main event, the one we've been waiting for since Bound for Glory. Josh Alexander challenges Moose for the Impact World Championship. Even brought his family with him again. His son even walked him out to the ring. Not sure that's a good idea considering what happened last time, but okay. As far as the match, though, overall, it was fantastic. This match, your eyes were glued to the screen. It was hard to look away. It was so good. Of course, there was a lot of taunting on the part of Moose. That's how he is. He's kind of a jerk. And one of the things I've talked about, one of the things that makes a good match is the mystery of you don't know which way this is going to go. We really didn't know. We didn't know if Moose was going to win and retain the title through some dastardly deeds, or if Josh Alexander was going to have the happy ending and finally get the Impact Championship and hold it longer than a couple of minutes. It also had some crazy counters and reversals. For example, Moose going for his spear finisher and it being reversed into a Styles Clash. But then after a C4 spike, that did not work, an ankle lock, that did not work, and one more C4 spike, Josh Alexander was able to pick up the win and become the Impact World Champion, which he still is, so he's had a much longer reign than his last one. It was a great, great match with a great ending, a very feel-good story, and it was easily match of the night, which is saying a lot considering it beat an 8-team Gauntlet. But this one definitely gets a 5 out of 5. Yeah! So Impact Rebellion 2022 overall was pretty good. It really was. Had a couple of 4s, a couple of 5s, a few 3s. It's kind of always going to be in there. But Very entertaining. Probably one of the most entertaining Impact pay-per-views I've seen in quite a while. So bravo, Impact. You put on a really good pay-per-view. Had some great stories, had some great rivalries, and like I said, had a great ending. The feel-good ending that we all wanted. So I would honestly give Impact Rebellion 2022 a decent 4 out of 5. Yee! So there you have it. That's my wrestling review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications for when I post the videos, and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of Impact Rebellion 2022. Love you guys.